Everyone wants to know where they rank, not because comparison is healthy, it's usually not, but because when it comes to retirement, most people are operating completely blind. No benchmark, no reference point, just a vague sense that they're either fine or they're behind, and no real way to tell which. Today we're going to fix that with actual numbers. What the average American has saved at 55, at 60, and at 65. What the median looks like, which tells a very different story than the average, and what those numbers actually mean for your retirement picture. Before we get into the numbers, one distinction matters enormously: average versus median. The average is pulled upward by people with very large balances. A handful of people with $3 million or $5 million in retirement savings dramatically inflate the average for everyone else in their age group. It makes the typical person look better off than they are. The median is the middle. Half of people have more, half have less. It's the number that actually reflects what a typical person in that age group has saved. Every time you see retirement savings statistics, check which one they're using. The gap between the two is significant, and it matters for understanding where you actually stand. Let's start with age 55. According to Federal Reserve data, the average retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64 is around $537,000. Sounds reasonable, maybe even reassuring. The median? Roughly $185,000. That's the real number, the number that represents what a typical 55-year-old actually has, not the outliers with seven-figure balances pulling the average up, the actual middle of the distribution. $185,000 at 55, with roughly 10 years left before traditional retirement age and potentially 30 or more years of retirement ahead. That gap between the average and the median is not a small rounding error. It's the difference between a comfortable retirement story and a genuinely difficult one. And the median is the honest number. At 60, the picture shifts, but not as dramatically as most people hope. Average retirement savings for Americans aged 60 to 64 sits around $572,000. The median for this group is closer to $200,000 to $210,000. 5 years of additional saving and compounding, and the median moved by roughly $25,000. That's not nothing, but it's also not the dramatic leap people assume happens in those final working years. The math of compounding is powerful over decades. Over 5 years, starting from a relatively small base, it's more modest. What this tells you is that the people who are comfortable at 65 didn't get there by saving aggressively in their early 60s. They got there by saving consistently in their 40s and early 50s, when time was still on their side. By the way, if nobody's told you this stuff before, that's kind of the point of this channel. Hit subscribe if you want to keep getting it. New video every single day. Now back to what we were saying. At 65, the numbers that matter most. Average retirement savings for Americans at or near retirement age is often cited around $609,000. The median sits somewhere between $185,000 and $250,000, depending on the data source. The range reflects different survey methodologies, but the message is consistent. Most Americans reach retirement age with less than $250,000 saved. That's the honest picture. Not a catastrophe. Social Security exists, and for many people, it covers a meaningful portion of their expenses. But it's also not the comfortable cushion most people imagined they'd have when they were 35 and retirement felt abstract. There's one more number worth knowing at 65. Fidelity's benchmark, one of the most widely cited targets in retirement planning, suggests having 10 times your final salary saved by the time you retire. For someone earning $60,000, that's $600,000. For someone earning $80,000, that's $800,000. Most people aren't hitting that benchmark, which doesn't mean retirement is impossible. It means Social Security, spending adjustments, and potentially working a few additional years become more important variables in the equation. So what do you actually do with this information? First, don't compare yourself to the average. Compare yourself to the median. The average is distorted. The median is where most people actually live. Second, if you're at or above the median for your age group, you're not behind, you're typical. And typical combined with a smart Social Security strategy and realistic spending is workable. Third, if you're below the median, the window to close the gap is real, but it's not infinite. The 5 years between 55 and 60 matter enormously. The decade between 55 and 65 matters enormously. Higher contributions, reduced spending, delayed retirement by even 1 or 2 years, these levers move the outcome significantly at this stage. Fourth, stop thinking about the savings number in isolation. A $200,000 portfolio for someone with a pension and a paid-off home is a fundamentally different situation than $200,000 for someone with a mortgage and no other income. Context changes everything. Your number only makes sense inside your full financial picture. Here's the honest version of what these statistics mean. Most Americans are not going to retire with $1 million or $2 million saved. That was always a minority outcome. The typical retirement is built on a combination of modest savings, Social Security, and some degree of spending adjustment. That's not a failure. That's the reality for the majority of people who worked hard for 30 or 40 years and did reasonably well. The goal isn't to match someone else's number. The goal is to understand your number, what you have, what it produces, what you need, and what the gap actually is. Once you know that clearly, you can make real decisions. Most people never get that clarity. That's the actual problem. Now you have the starting point. All right, that's all for now. We'll see you next time.